Welcome back to the channel, US Rare Coins News, Top 1 where ordinary coins turn into extraordinary stories. Today, we're diving into a coin that almost everyone has seen, many have spent, and very few truly understand, the United States of America Jefferson nickel 5-cent dated 1964. At first glance, this coin looks simple and common, but behind it lies history, mystery, and the potential for surprising value. Stay with me until the very end, because the auction price of this nickel may completely change the way you look at pocket change. The year 1964 was one of the most dramatic and important periods in modern American coin history. The United States was facing a nationwide coin shortage. Silver prices were rising, people were hoarding coins, and the U.S. Mint was under intense pressure to produce massive quantities of circulating currency. In response, 1964 became the final year that Jefferson nickels were produced under the original minting standards before major changes took place. Millions upon millions of 1964 Jefferson nickels were struck, making it one of the highest mintage years in the series. Because of this, most people assume the coin has no value beyond face value. But that assumption is exactly what makes certain rare examples so fascinating, and so valuable. The Jefferson nickel design itself carries deep historical meaning. On the front of the coin, you'll see the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, one of America's founding fathers and the third President of the United States. Jefferson represents independence, intellect, and democratic ideals. His calm but determined expression reflects the strength of American leadership during times of change. On the reverse side, the coin features Monticello, Jefferson's historic Virginia estate. This iconic building symbolizes knowledge, architecture, and American heritage. The clean lines and detailed engraving make the design both elegant and powerful. For decades, this design remained a familiar symbol in American wallets and pockets. What makes the 1964 Jefferson nickel especially interesting is what was happening behind the scenes at the U.S. Mint. Because of the coin shortage, production was rushed. Dies were overused, quality control was strained, and unusual coins quietly slipped into circulation. This chaotic environment created the perfect conditions for rare varieties, unusual strikes, and exceptional coins that collectors now hunt relentlessly. Condition is one of the biggest factors when it comes to the value of a 1964 Jefferson nickel. While worn examples are extremely common, coins that were never circulated tell a very different story. Uncirculated nickels with sharp details, original luster, and no signs of wear are far more difficult to find than most people realize. Many were damaged during mass production or mishandled shortly after leaving the mint. Even more desirable are coins with extraordinary strike quality. Some 1964 Jefferson nickels were struck with unusually strong details, especially on Monticello's steps. When those steps appear full and sharply defined, collectors take notice immediately. These high-quality strikes are rare and command serious attention in the collector market. Another layer of mystery surrounds special 1964 nickels believed to have been struck under unique circumstances. Certain examples display satin-like surfaces, sharper details, and a finish unlike standard circulation coins. These unusual pieces stand out dramatically when compared side by side with ordinary nickels, and they have become some of the most debated and desirable coins in the Jefferson nickel series. Because of their potential value, authentication is critical. Many 1964 Jefferson nickels look similar at first glance, but small details make a massive difference. Professional grading services examine surface texture, strike quality, and mint characteristics to determine whether a coin is ordinary or extraordinary. The fascination with this coin isn't just about money. It's about a moment in American history when the mint was pushed to its limits, when everyday coins became part of a national crisis, and when small differences created lasting legends. The 1964 Jefferson nickel represents the end of an era and the beginning of modern American coinage. Collectors today actively search through rolls, old collections, and estate finds hoping to uncover a standout example. Stories continue to surface of rare 1964 nickels discovered decades later, hidden in plain sight. That possibility keeps the excitement alive and proves that valuable coins aren't always ancient or gold. Now comes the moment everyone waits for, the value reveal. A rare, high-grade 1964 Jefferson nickel, when sold at a major auction, has reached a price of $30,000, yes, a 5-cent coin selling for $30,000 at auction. That's the incredible power of condition, rarity, and history combined. Top 2, today, we're focusing on a coin that many people have handled without a second thought, the United States of America Jefferson nickel 5-cent dated 1975 with the Denver Mint mark. At first glance, this coin looks ordinary, familiar, and easy to overlook. But as you'll soon discover, the 1975 D. Jefferson nickel has layers of history, collector fascination, and surprising value potential hidden beneath its simple appearance. Stay with me until the very end, because the auction price of this coin might completely change how you see modern pocket change. The year 1975 sits in a fascinating period of American history. The country was recovering from economic uncertainty, inflation was rising, and the U.S. Mint was producing massive quantities of coins to meet circulation demands. Unlike earlier decades, precious metals were no longer used in nickels, but that didn't stop collectors from paying close attention to quality, condition, and minting characteristics. The Denver Mint played a major role during this time, striking millions of Jefferson nickels intended for everyday use across the nation. Because so many 1975 D. Jefferson nickels were produced, most people assume they are common and worthless beyond face value. And while circulated examples are indeed plentiful, that assumption quickly disappears when condition, strike quality, and rarity at the highest levels come into play. In numismatics, even modern coins can become extremely valuable when everything lines up perfectly. The design of the Jefferson nickel carries timeless significance. On the front of the coin, you'll see Thomas Jefferson, one of America's founding fathers and the third President of the United States. His portrait represents intelligence, independence, and democratic ideals. The design used during this era shows Jefferson facing left, with clean lines and a dignified expression that reflects the stability of American leadership. Turning the coin over, you'll find Monticello, Jefferson's historic home in Virginia. This architectural masterpiece symbolizes education, innovation, and American heritage. The level of detail on Monticello is one of the most important factors collectors examine. The clarity of the building, the sharpness of the steps, and the overall strike quality can mean the difference between an ordinary coin and a highly desirable one. What makes the 1975 D. Jefferson nickel especially interesting is the way it was produced. During the 1970s, the U.S. Mint focused heavily on speed and volume. Dies were often used longer than ideal, which led to weak strikes and loss of detail on many coins. Because of this, finding a 1975 D nickel with strong details and crisp surfaces is far more difficult than the mintage numbers suggest. Condition is the heart of this coin's value story. Most examples entered circulation immediately and picked up scratches, marks, and wear. Uncirculated coins are much harder to find, and even among them, only a tiny percentage show exceptional quality. Coins with original luster, clean surfaces, and sharp features are the ones collectors aggressively pursue. One of the most critical details collectors look for is the quality of the steps on Monticello. When those steps appear bold, separated, and clearly defined, the coin instantly stands out. These high-quality strikes are rare for 1975 D nickels and are considered premium examples within the series. Coins that display this level of detail are often the result of fresh dies and precise striking pressure, conditions that were uncommon during high-volume production years. Surface preservation is another major factor. Bag marks, contact scratches, and dull finishes are common on modern nickels. A 1975 D. Jefferson nickel that survived without these flaws is a remarkable find. Coins with smooth fields, strong eye appeal, and balanced toning command serious respect among collectors. Authentication and professional grading play a vital role in unlocking the coin's full value. At lower grades, a 1975 D nickel may appear unremarkable. But once a coin reaches elite condition levels, it becomes a rarity, not because of how many were made, but because of how few survived in that state. This is where modern coins quietly transform into high-value collectibles. What makes this coin truly exciting is the idea that it could still be out there, unnoticed. Many high-grade modern coins remain hidden in old rolls, bank boxes, or forgotten collections. Unlike ancient coins or gold pieces, the 1975 D. Jefferson nickel doesn't announce its value loudly. It rewards those who know exactly what to look for. Collectors today actively search for standout examples from the 1970s because they represent an era of mass production where perfection was rare. Finding a flawless survivor from this time is like capturing a moment frozen in mint condition. Now, let's arrive at the moment everyone has been waiting for. A top condition 1975 D Jefferson nickel, preserved in exceptional uncirculated condition and sold at a major auction, has reached a price of $22,000. Yes, a 5-cent coin selling for $22,000 at auction. That's the incredible power of condition, precision, and collector demand. Top 3. Today, we're taking a deep and fascinating look at a coin that almost everyone has seen, many have spent, and very few have ever truly examined: the United States of America Jefferson nickel 5-cent dated 1973. At first glance, this coin feels ordinary and familiar, but behind its quiet appearance lies an exciting collector story that continues to surprise people even today. Stay with me until the very end, because the auction value of this coin might completely change the way you look at nickels. The year 1973 was a time of major transition in the United States. The nation was dealing with economic uncertainty, rising inflation, and changes in manufacturing standards. The U.S. Mint was focused on producing large quantities of coins to keep up with circulation demands, and Jefferson nickels were struck in massive numbers. Because of this, the 1973 Jefferson nickel is often dismissed as common. But in the world of coin collecting, numbers alone never tell the full story. The Jefferson nickel design carries deep historical significance. On the front of the coin, you'll find the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, one of America's most influential founding fathers and the third President of the United States. Jefferson symbolizes intelligence, independence, and vision. His portrait on the nickel reflects the ideals upon which the country was built, making the coin both educational and symbolic. On the reverse side, the coin features Monticello, Jefferson's historic home in Virginia. This iconic structure represents knowledge, architecture, and American heritage. The Monticello design may look simple, but collectors know that the smallest details make the biggest difference. The sharpness of the building, the clarity of the lettering, and especially the definition of the steps play a crucial role in determining a coin's desirability. What makes the 1973 Jefferson nickel especially interesting is the way it was produced. During the early 1970s, the U.S. Mint prioritized speed and volume over precision. Dies were often used longer than ideal, and striking pressure was not always consistent. As a result, many 1973 nickels entered circulation with weak details, flat surfaces, and minimal definition on Monticello. Because of this, finding a 1973 Jefferson nickel with strong details is far more difficult than most people realize. Coins that show crisp lettering, a well-defined portrait of Jefferson, and a sharp reverse design stand out immediately to experienced collectors. These high-quality examples are rare survivors of a time when perfection was not the goal. Condition is the single most important factor when it comes to the value of this coin. Most 1973 nickels were heavily circulated and show signs of wear, scratches, and contact marks. Uncirculated examples are much harder to locate, and even fewer remain with clean surfaces and original mint luster. Coins that have avoided damage from handling, storage, and transportation are the ones that truly matter. Another detail collectors pay close attention to is the overall eye appeal. A 1973 Jefferson nickel with smooth fields, balanced toning, and sharp contrast between design elements can be far more desirable than one with the same technical grade but dull surfaces. These subtle visual qualities can dramatically influence a coin's market value. Because modern nickels are often underestimated, many exceptional examples remain hidden in old coin rolls, inherited collections, or forgotten boxes. This adds an element of excitement to the hunt. Unlike ancient or gold coins, the 1973 Jefferson nickel doesn't immediately announce its importance. Its value reveals itself only to those who know exactly what to look for. Professional grading plays a critical role in unlocking the coin's true worth. At lower levels, a 1973 nickel may seem unremarkable. But when a coin reaches the highest condition levels, it becomes a rarity, not because it was produced in small numbers, but because so few survived in that state. This is where modern coins quietly become high-value collectibles. The fascination with the 1973 Jefferson nickel goes beyond money. It represents an era of American coinage when mass production dominated, and excellence became accidental rather than intentional. Owning a top-quality example is like holding a perfectly preserved snapshot of that era. Collectors today actively seek standout nickels from the 1970s because they offer a unique challenge. Finding one with exceptional strike quality and preservation is far more difficult than finding older coins from earlier decades. That challenge is what keeps interest in these coins alive and growing. Now comes the moment everyone has been waiting for. A top-condition 1973 Jefferson nickel, preserved in outstanding uncirculated condition and sold at a major auction, has reached a price of $18,000, yes, a 5-cent coin selling for $18,000 at auction. That's the remarkable power of condition, rarity at the highest level, and collector demand. Top 4. Today's video is all about a modern coin that almost everyone has held in their hands, the United States of America Jefferson nickel 5 cent dated 1990 with the Philadelphia Mint strike. At first glance, this nickel looks completely ordinary. It's the kind of coin you might drop in a jar, spend at a store, or forget in your pocket. But beneath that familiar look lies a fascinating story of minting quality, collector demand, and hidden value. Stay with me until the very end, because the auction price of this coin may surprise you. The year 1990 marked an interesting moment in U.S. coinage. America was entering a new decade, technology at the mint was improving, and coin production was becoming more refined than in earlier decades. The Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not use a mint mark on nickels at that time, produced a massive number of 1990 Jefferson nickels to meet everyday circulation needs. Because so many were made, most people assume this coin has no collectible value. But in numismatics, quantity does not always mean insignificance. The Jefferson nickel design itself carries powerful historical meaning. On the front of the coin is Thomas Jefferson, one of the most influential founding fathers and the third president of the United States. His portrait symbolizes intelligence, independence, and democratic ideals. The 1990 design features a clean, modern engraving that reflects the mint's evolving production standards during the late 20th century. On the reverse side, the coin displays Monticello, Jefferson's historic home in Virginia. This iconic structure has appeared on the nickel for decades and represents American heritage, innovation, and architectural excellence. While many people see this design as simple, collectors know that Monticello is one of the most challenging designs to strike perfectly. The smallest details, especially the steps, are critical in determining a coin's desirability. What makes the 1990 P. Jefferson nickel especially interesting is the level of quality variation among surviving examples. Even though the mint had improved its technology by this time, most coins were still produced for speed and efficiency, not perfection. As a result, many 1990 nickels entered circulation with minor flaws, weak details, or surface marks from handling and storage. Condition is the most important factor when evaluating the value of this coin. Circulated examples are extremely common and usually worth only face value. However, uncirculated coins tell a very different story. Nickels that were never used, never scratched, and never damaged are far rarer than people realize. Even among uncirculated coins, only a small percentage display exceptional quality. Collectors pay close attention to surface preservation on 1990 P. Jefferson nickels. Because nickels are made from a copper-nickel alloy, they are prone to contact marks and dulling. A coin with smooth fields, original luster, and strong contrast between design elements stands out immediately. These visual qualities greatly increase collector appeal. Another crucial detail is strike strength. Some 1990 P nickels were struck with unusually sharp detail, particularly on Monticello. When the steps appear clean, separated, and clearly defined, the coin enters a much higher level of collectability. These high-quality strikes are rare and often result from fresh dies and optimal striking pressure, conditions that were not common during large-scale production runs. Eye appeal plays a surprisingly powerful role as well. A 1990 Jefferson nickel with balanced toning, bright luster, and crisp details can be far more desirable than a technically similar coin with dull or spotted surfaces. Collectors are drawn to coins that look exceptional, even among others of the same date. Professional grading is essential for unlocking the true value of a top-tier 1990 P. Jefferson nickel. At lower grades, the coin blends in with millions of others. But once it reaches the highest condition levels, it becomes a rarity, not because of its age, but because of how few examples survived in near-perfect condition. This is where modern coins quietly transform into serious collectibles. One of the most exciting aspects of this coin is that valuable examples may still be hiding in plain sight. Many collectors have discovered high-grade 1990 nickels in old bank rolls, mint sets, or collections assembled decades ago. Because this coin doesn't look rare, it often goes unnoticed, and that's exactly what makes the hunt so thrilling. The 1990 Jefferson nickel represents a moment in modern American coinage where quality, technology, and mass production intersected. It reminds us that even recent coins can carry surprising value when condition and detail come together perfectly. Now we reach the moment everyone has been waiting for. A top-condition 1990 Jefferson nickel, preserved in exceptional uncirculated condition and sold at a major auction, has reached a price of $10,000, yes, a 5-cent coin selling for $10,000 at auction. That's the power of preservation, precision, and collector demand. Top 5. Today's video is all about a coin most people have seen thousands of times but almost never think twice about, the United States of America Jefferson nickel 5-cent dated 1974. This simple-looking coin traveled through millions of hands during a time of economic change in America, and yet, some rare examples have quietly become powerful collector treasures. Stay with me until the very end, because the auction value of this coin might completely change how you look at old nickels. The year 1974 was a challenging and important moment in American history. The country was facing inflation, rising costs of living, and the aftermath of major economic shifts. The U.S. Mint was under pressure to produce enormous quantities of coins to keep commerce moving smoothly. Jefferson nickels were struck in massive numbers during this period, making the 1974 nickel seem common and unimportant at first glance. Because so many were produced, most people assumed the 1974 Jefferson nickel has no value beyond 5 cents. But in coin collecting, value is not just about how many coins were made, it's about how many survived in exceptional condition. That's where this coin begins to tell a very different story. The design of the Jefferson nickel carries timeless American symbolism. On the front of the coin, you'll see Thomas Jefferson, one of the most influential founding fathers and the third president of the United States. Jefferson represents intelligence, independence, and vision. His portrait on the nickel reflects stability and tradition during a time when the nation was experiencing uncertainty. On the reverse side, the coin features Monticello, Jefferson's historic home in Virginia. This iconic structure symbolizes knowledge, architecture, and American heritage. While many people overlook this design, collectors know that Monticello is one of the most difficult images to strike sharply. Small details make a massive difference when determining a coin's desirability. What makes the 1974 Jefferson nickel especially interesting is how it was produced. During the 1970s, the U.S. Mint focused heavily on speed and efficiency. Dies were often used longer than ideal, and striking pressure was not always consistent. As a result, many nickels from this era show weak details, flat lettering, and soft features, especially on Monticello. Because of this, finding a 1974 Jefferson nickel with strong details is far more difficult than most people realize. Coins that show crisp lettering, a well-defined portrait of Jefferson, and a sharp reverse instantly stand out to experienced collectors. These coins are rare survivors of a high-speed production era. Condition plays the most important role in determining the value of this coin. The majority of 1974 nickels entered circulation immediately and picked up scratches, marks, and wear. Uncirculated examples are much harder to find, and only a small percentage remain with clean surfaces and original mint luster. Surface quality is another critical factor. Nickels are especially prone to contact marks because of how they were stored and transported. A 1974 Jefferson nickel with smooth fields, minimal marks, and bright luster is considered highly desirable. Even small imperfections can dramatically affect value at higher levels. Collectors also pay close attention to overall eye appeal. A coin with balanced toning, sharp contrast between design elements, and a clean, fresh appearance can command much stronger interest than a technically similar coin with dull or spotted surfaces. Appeal often separates ordinary coins from exceptional ones. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1974 Jefferson nickel is that valuable examples may still be hiding in everyday places. Old bank rolls, inherited collections, and forgotten storage boxes sometimes contain high-grade nickels that were never circulated. Because this coin looks so ordinary, many people overlook it, and that's exactly why rare examples continue to surface. Professional grading is essential when it comes to determining real value. At lower grades, a 1974 nickel blends in with millions of others. But once a coin reaches the highest condition levels, it becomes a rarity, not because it was scarce at the time of production, but because so few survived in that state. The 1974 Jefferson nickel represents an era of American coinage defined by mass production rather than perfection. Owning a top-quality example is like holding a perfectly preserved snapshot of that moment in history. It reminds us that even modern coins can become valuable when time, condition, and collector demand align. Collectors today actively search for standout nickels from the 1970s because they offer one of the greatest challenges in modern numismatics. Finding a flawless survivor from this era is far more difficult than finding much older coins, which is why demand continues to grow. Now we reach the moment everyone has been waiting for. A top-condition 1974 Jefferson nickel, preserved in exceptional uncirculated condition and sold at a major auction, has reached a price of $16,000, yes, a 5-cent coin selling for $16,000 at auction. That's the incredible power of condition, rarity at the highest level, and collector passion. Top 6. Today, we're uncovering the surprising story behind a coin almost everyone has seen but very few truly understand, the United States of America Jefferson nickel 5-cent dated 1971 with the Denver mint mark. At first glance, this nickel looks simple, common, and easy to ignore. But for collectors who know what to look for, certain examples of this coin carry serious value and an incredible backstory. Stay with me until the very end, because the auction value of this nickel may completely change how you view everyday pocket change. The year 1971 marked a period of transition in the United States. The country was adjusting to economic changes, rising inflation, and shifting production standards at the U.S. Mint. Coinage during this time was no longer about beauty or perfection, it was about speed, efficiency, and volume. The Denver Mint played a major role in supplying circulating coins, striking enormous numbers of Jefferson nickels to meet national demand. Because so many 1971 Jefferson nickels were produced, most people assume they are common and worthless beyond face value. That belief couldn't be further from the truth when it comes to top-quality survivors. In numismatics, value is not just about how many coins were made, it's about how many survived in exceptional condition. The Jefferson nickel design carries deep American symbolism. On the front of the coin, you'll see Thomas Jefferson, one of the most influential founding fathers and the third president of the United States. Jefferson represents intelligence, independence, and vision. His portrait on the nickel reflects tradition and stability during a decade filled with change and uncertainty. On the reverse side, the coin features Monticello, Jefferson's historic home in Virginia. This iconic structure represents knowledge, innovation, and American heritage. While the design may look simple to the untrained, collectors know that Monticello is one of the most difficult designs to strike sharply. The smallest details, especially the steps at the base of the building, play a major role in determining desirability. What makes the 1971 Jefferson nickel especially interesting is how it was produced. During the early 1970s, the U.S. Mint focused heavily on speed rather than precision. Dies were often overused, striking pressure varied, and quality control was inconsistent. As a result, many nickels from this era display weak details, flat surfaces, and poor definition on Monticello. Because of this, finding a 1971 Jefferson nickel with strong strike quality is far more difficult than mintage numbers suggest. Coins that show crisp lettering, sharp details on Jefferson's portrait, and clear architectural lines on Monticello stand out immediately. These coins are rare survivors of a mass production era. Condition is the single most important factor when determining the value of this coin. The vast majority of 1971 nickels entered circulation and were quickly exposed to wear, scratches, and contact marks. Uncirculated examples are much harder to find, and only a tiny percentage remain with clean surfaces and original mint luster. Surface preservation plays a crucial role. Nickels are especially prone to contact marks because of how they were stored and transported in large bags. A 1971 D. Jefferson nickel with smooth fields, minimal marks, and bright luster is considered highly desirable by collectors. Even small imperfections can significantly reduce value at higher levels. Eye appeal is another critical factor. A coin with balanced toning, strong contrast between design elements, and a fresh, vibrant appearance can command far more attention than a technically similar coin with dull or spotted surfaces. This visual quality often separates ordinary coins from elite examples. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1971 D. Jefferson nickel is that valuable specimens may still be hiding in plain sight. Old bank rolls, inherited collections, and forgotten storage boxes sometimes contain high-grade nickels that were never circulated. Because this coin looks so ordinary, many people overlook it, allowing rare examples to remain undiscovered for decades. Professional grading is essential for unlocking the coin's true worth. At lower grades, a 1971 D nickel blends in with millions of others. But once a coin reaches the highest condition levels, it becomes a rarity, not because it was scarce at the time of production, but because so few survived in that state. The 1971 D Jefferson nickel represents an era of American coinage defined by efficiency over craftsmanship. Owning a top-quality example is like holding a perfectly preserved moment from that era. It proves that even modern coins can become highly valuable when condition, detail, and collector demand align perfectly. Collectors today actively search for standout nickels from the early 1970s because they offer one of the toughest challenges in modern numismatics. Finding a flawless survivor from this time period is far more difficult than finding much older coins, which is why demand continues to grow year after year. Now comes the moment everyone has been waiting for. A top-condition 1971 D. Jefferson nickel, preserved in exceptional uncirculated condition and sold at a major auction, has reached a price of $14,000. Yes, a 5-cent coin selling for $14,000 at auction. That's the incredible power of condition, rarity at the highest level, and collector passion. So the next time you come across an old nickel, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. Because sometimes, the most valuable treasures are hiding right in your pocket. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Jefferson nickel and want more hidden coin stories, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. More rare coins and unbelievable discoveries are coming soon. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting.